depending on the material. Some of it was just basic mineralogical testing, X-ray diffraction analysis, SEM. I did more detailed studies like instrumental neutron activation analysis, which Professor Gloriouse has done on his pottery as well. Also multi-collector mass spectrometry. And I simply did large-scale systematic comparative studies. Now, I looked at all stone in Harappa, but I did the biggest work on grinding stones, chert, steatite, carnelian, vesuvianite, and other materials, some of which I'll discuss the results. All of this work, all of this traveling was quite costly. I had, again, a great deal of institutional support, and my very first, besides the Harappa Archaeological Research Project, my very first support here in Pakistan was through the American Institute of Pakistan Studies. Now, the last thing you need to do once you have your samples, once you've done the analysis, you have to establish a set of analytical parameters to compare them to the artifacts. This was achieved through various means, statistical and otherwise. Okay, and what I learned after all that, after all the collection, all the analysis, that when the various potential sources of all these different types of stone are plotted on the landscape, I was able to trace the trade networks back to Harappa. Now this particular map is incredibly complex. It's kind of conflated from many different periods. But remember, I told you about the chronological sequence in Harappa prior to this. Because we have that, and because we have well-dated stone and metal artifacts throughout that sequence, we can look at the transformation of Indus to stone and metal trade networks through time. Starting from the earliest phase, when Harappa was a smaller village amongst a smaller society, to its expansion in the early Harappan Prodigi period, and then through the Harappa phase, the urban phase, when trade networks grow and change, and then through the late Harappan phase where things contract somewhat. Throughout all of that, the major findings were that the large majority of stone and metal resources utilized by residents of Harappa, people at that site, were attributable to sources within the greater Indus region. In other words, there was very little material that I could trace to a source outside of either Pakistan or northwestern India. We weren't getting material from Egypt or Mesopotamia, or I couldn't trace much to Central Asia other than lapis lazuli. Now, resources from every major sub-region were included. So at Harappa, they were getting stuff from KPK, Baluchistan, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Sindh, all major sub-regions. During all periods of Harappa, the majority of stone and metal resources that were used at the site were derived from sources that were located to the north, in northern Pakistan, the large majority. Now, those findings and all that research that I just summarized for you now all were published in, well, first my dissertation, and then in my 2011 book, which is available on harappa.com. Free to all, just go there and download. Now, as I said, that was in 2011. Since my work at Harappa, I've analyzed artifacts from all the other major Indus sites, as well as a few dozen smaller sites throughout the greater Indus region. Now, I said at Harappa, everything was focused to, and that's largely because of its geographical location. It's oriented towards the north. But will the same necessarily be true if you look at Mohenjo-Daro, other sites, such as the ones here in Sindh? And the remainder of the talk, I want to kind of focus on that. Now, the lower Indus Basin, which is essentially Sindh, is quite different geographically than or is much less expansive than the upper Indus Basin, the Punjab. You have the Rohini Hills. So already, although most of these sites, with the exception of Aladino, which I'll talk about in a minute, are on the plains itself, and now I joined the Aladino excavations this year for the first time, and it was a privilege to be working with Mark again, and I have to thank for that my friends Dr. Asma Ibrahim and Kalimullah Shari of the Sindh Exploration and Adventure Society for inviting me and seeing that I got the proper permits to come. And these are old friends of mine, and I just can't thank them enough for giving me this opportunity. And it's also given me the opportunity to make some new friends. Friends from various universities that I excavate with, I eat with every day, we learn a lot, and we're just having a lot of fun. And I just wanted to say thank you for making this exhibit. Now, Aladino, you know, I have stone over there. That's all I really want to, that's not all I really want to, but that's one of my main purposes for being there, is to see the stones. Now, one of the first things that intrigued me that came up in one of the higher levels of one of the trenches we put in were these two, a grinding stone and a pestle. And both very different kinds of rock. One is, the top one is a conglomerate made up of hardened sandstone with various other inclusions, and the bottom one, which appears to be basalt. Where are these coming from? Well, we, after a few days there, one of the first things I did was to survey the Malir River, which there's cobbles and various other things that are brought from Sindh coast down through the Malir and get stones right near the site. So we went into the bed of the river and collected all various kinds of materials that were found there. And the grinding stone, which I showed you before, that's purely local. You can find that within probably 10 meters of the site itself, if not closer. The cobble, on the other hand, the basalt cobble, this is not found in the Malir, and this is not found really in Sindh coast. To find a cobble like this, the nearest place you could go is probably the Las Bela ophiolite, this volcanic sequence, which at the nearest point lies probably about 120 kilometers to the north of Aladino. Or you could go to the south, probably from the Deccan tracts of Gujarat. Or it could even be further afield. We haven't tested this yet, but that hopefully we will be able to do that one day. Now, this is not the first time that I've studied material from Aladino. Back in 2003, the last time I was in Karachi, I got to study this wonderful jewelry hoard, which was excavated at Aladino by Walter Fairservice back in the mid-1970s. At that time, I was primarily interested in the silver ornaments. And silver is actually extracted from lead deposits. And so by sampling lead, this is back in 2003, by sampling lead from these silver ornaments and some from the Mohenjo-daro, and I have actually sampled silver ornaments from many, many other sites, I was able to do lead isotope analysis and trace those to, or many of them, to a source in southern Baluchistan, near the archaeological site of Sordab. And from there, silver was extracted and sent to Aladino, Mohenjo-daro, and even further afield in Dolavir and Rakhigarh. This was a major Harappan silver source. Not the only one, but the primary one. And as I said, the site of Sordam lies just a few dozen kilometers from these very silver-rich lead deposits. And I think this warrants further investigation. So, back to the Aladino jewelry hoard. At that time, I wasn't studying other materials, but we've since started studying agate. Now, these particular agate, or rather the red variety, types, I can tell you without even studying them, these are almost certainly from Gujarat. First of all, you just don't get that kind of quality and size of agate anywhere else. So I didn't actually get the chance to study these species, but we've studied others. Now there are many agate sources. I've been involved with Professor Knoyer in a project for about the past 10 years to locate agate sources, not just in South Asia, but in other agate producing regions like Arabia, Iran, and even further afield. But I'll just focus on these areas now. There are many possibilities, routes through which agate resources can come into the Indus Valley. Any one of these are possible. So, in Sindh, we have sampled and analyzed agate from 4 sites. And what we found was that at the, and this is our results of our laser ablation mass spectrometry analysis. Okay. At the site of Chanagara, all 50 of the samples we found clearly came from Gujarat. There was no ambiguity about that. And most of the other sites, the majority of those contain, actually those sites contain majority Gujarati agate. However, we did find at 3 of those sites, Mahendragara, Lakhandragara, and Lalmari, a smaller percentage of agate that appears to come from Iran. So my earlier finding that not much came from outside the Indus is starting to fall away a little bit, because we're starting to see materials, particularly agate, from Iran. Now, here's an interesting one. These green jade beads from Mohenjo-daro. They were called jade by the early excavators about 100 years ago, because they're hard, they're very jade-like stones. But we got an opportunity to analyze these closer, particularly the production debris, and found out that they're not jade, that they're actually a material called Vesuvianite roster. Had they been jade, the earlier excavators were making arguments like, oh, these must be from China or Burma, because that's where jade is found. But no, they're from Vesuvianite. And Vesuvianite is actually, there are sources in northern Pakistan, in Balochistan, and even in Rajasthan. We didn't get to analyze these themselves because it is a destructive analysis, but we found that we did neutron activation of these from 2 sites, well, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, 2 sites in Sindh and Harappa, and found that the majority of these are coming from far northern Pakistan, and maybe even a few examples from Joe itself. Now, Harappan steatite. This is the focus of the biggest study that I've done. Harappans use steatite, which is a soft stone, which is basically the massive form of the mineral tau, to make the famous seals, tablets, and beads. Well, you have our bead blanks there in the center, and raw steatite comes in many different colors, but it's all basically tau. Steatite deposits are found in every major region surrounding the Indus Valley. The Indus Valley. I talked about the source of Las Bela. And I collected multiple samples from multiple sources in each region. Okay, these were analyzed by neutron activation at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I studied raw, unheated debris left behind in some cells, and I studied the beads themselves with a special data set that we recently developed. What we found was the large majority, not just in Sindh, but the large majority at all sites, come from, the large majority of steatite beads and the raw material come from just a few sites located in northern Pakistan, in the KPK district. Now, why is that, given that there are perfectly good sources of steatite as near, particularly for Sindh, as near as Las Bela? You saw the carvings of these. You can carve whatever you like. It's beautiful. Well, the reason is, well, notice on the left side here, it's raw steatite, which is, in its raw form, it's in many different colors, red, black, green. But look at the finished artifacts. They're all white. And the reason that they're white is they've been heated to very high temperatures. It thermally decomposes the talc and turns it white. Now that's great, but what I learned from experimental studies, I took steatite from all those different sources that I collected, heated them experimentally, and found that they don't all turn white. And those that do just happen to be the very same deposits located in northern Pakistan. Las Vegas steatite is fantastic for carbon, but if you want a white Moroccan seal or a white bead, it's not what you would use, and so the Moroccans didn't. And I'm running short of time. I can't go into detail about a lot of other things, but resources that are clearly very important here in Sindh are Chert and Roy Hills and other sources in Sindh Kholistan. You find these at sites.com. We found these were found at Aladino from the 1970s. And grinding stones. You can find grinding stone, this is Pop Sandstone from Mohenjo-Daro. Now Pop Sandstone occurs in the Suleiman range north of it, but it also occurs in the Pop range itself, which is in Las Vegas, Balochistan, and that's probably the nearest source. As I said, most of this research is found at harappa.com, and you can get some of it there. But in summary, basically, you've got these different sub-areas located in the hills and ranges surrounding the Indus Basin that seem to supply the majority of the raw materials, the stone metal raw materials, in each of these areas to sites adjacent to those regions. However, you do have certain key materials like steatite, chert, agate, that are traded widely across the entire Indus Valley. And so this is merely a summary. It's actually quite complex. And again, if you want to find more details in this, I suggest you look at my book or papers or invite me back, and I'm happy to give you a more detailed, longer talk. But I thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Randall, and I'm sure सब लोगों ने ये presentation उतनी ही enjoy की होगी जितनी मैंने की है. We really enjoyed your presentation like always, and my special thanks to Dr. Mark Nair and Randall for taking out time from the busy schedule of their field work at Aladino. So my special thanks to both of you. And now comes our most favorite speaker, Dr. Zulfikar Ali Kanorosa. Title of his paper is Manikani Talpur Tones in Sindh, which is another interesting topic, and we come back to the historic period from Harappa. Dr. Zulfikar Ali Kanorosa is an anthropologist and author of about 15 books. He teaches at the Department of Development Studies at the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, PIDE, Islamabad. His main area of interest are culture, religion, art, and the heritage of Pakistan, especially of Sindh, Punjab, Balochistan, KP, and Gilgit-Baltistan. Dr. Kanorosa has taken part in numerous international workshops, seminars, and conferences, both in the country and abroad. Additionally, he regularly contributes articles about Pakistan heritage to leading English newspapers. And I think आप लोग इसके बाद ज़रूर पढ़ना शुरू कर देंगे. इनकी इतनी interesting talk होती है. He has conducted research on rock art and hero stones in Sindh, which are located in two different regions of the area. Rock art can be found in various valleys of the Kirthar, Baddu, and Lekki mountain ranges. Dr. Kanorosa has explored these rugged terrains to document the rock art. He has also extensively traveled throughout the Thar Desert to document the disappearing visual heritage of the region, including Sati, hero stones, Jain and Hindu temples, as well as the four deities of the desert. His forthcoming book on this topic is expected to be released in 2025. So now, Dr. Zulfikar Kanorosa, I would like to request you.
नहीं सर मैं चलो बस ले लो दे देते नोमान जो दही शायद बाबा ले
Thank you very much, Dr. Asma, for your introduction. Uh, First of all, I would like to thank the advisory committee of Dr. N.A. Baloch Institute of Heritage Research to invite me to share my research that I have been doing in Sindh on different topic. Before I discuss on Mankani Talpurs in Sindh, let me tell you that this information has been extracted from my forthcoming book that is on Talpurs. The title of the book is From Brick to Stone, Perspectives on Funerary Monuments of Talpurs. So we know a lot about the history of Talpurs, but not much is known about their funerary monuments. So in today's presentation, I will be talking about Mankani Talpurs. So before I discuss their funerary monuments, I just wanted to give you a very brief introduction or insight into Mankani Talpurs. So this is how I will go along. First, I will give you a brief introduction of Mankani Talpurs, followed by distribution of Mankani Talpur tombs in Sindh, and then finally I will conclude. And in conclusion, I will discuss two different forms of decoration found in Mankani Talpurs, one located in western Sindh and other in southern Sindh. So if you look at this slide, you will get to know that Mankanis are descendants of Mir Manik Khan. As we say in Sindhi we say Manik. अंग्रेजी में this is what मैं ये चुना दो. So Sindhi में चुना है Manik, and when we say in English Manik or Mankani, actually it is Mankani. ठीक है ना? Roon it is not na. Ra is basically is used. So basically for this research I relied on both sources, primary as well as secondary. I visited almost every historical necropolis that were connected or associated with Mankanis. It was in 2001 that I first visited Mankani Talpur cemeteries in Bateen. And those were known as Mir Abdullah Jo Kabristan, Syed Ahmad Shah Jo Kabristan, and Ketum. And there is a history behind each and every site. So we know from secondary sources that the ancestor of Talpurs of Sindh, Mir Suleiman, popularly known as Kakko, or as we read or see the name on the Persian inscriptions, Kakka Khan Baloch. He had 8 sons. Why basically I am reading these names? These are important to know that, you know, the descendants of Mir Suleiman ruled all over the Sindh. I will come to this point later on. So he had 8 sons: Hotak, Bijar, Manik, Ali, Jeevan, Miran, Dafar, and Safar. So अब देखिए इनका 4 या 3 पुत्र होया या 3 या 4 बेटे थे, उसमें से जो होतक है, होतक का जो बेटा था मीर शहदाद. The descendants of Mir Shahdad founded the kingdom of Hyderabad. And another sub-lineage or subcaste of Shahdadanis was who founded Khairpur state. Up, we know basically the Choyari, Mashur hui, the Mir Fateh Ali Khan was basically founder of Talpur dynasty. When they overthrew the Kalhodas and they defeated Kalhodas in the Battle of Halani. So Onnakompoe Sindh was divided into three kingdoms: Hyderabad, Mirpur, and Khairpur. But we do not know much about other families or houses that also ruled in other parts of Sindh. The third, as I just told you, the third house or the kingdom was Mir Shora or Khairpur, Mirs as we call it. And the fourth was Khanpur state, and it was founded by Mir Mubarak Khan Talpur, and who was son of Mir Ali. I just basically share the names of 8 sons of Mir Kaka Khan. So one of sons was Mir Ali. So he was son of Mir Ali. The most prominent cemetery in Samaro is Mir Mubarak Khan Talpur site. It is about 12 kilometers north of Samaro town, and in this cemetery, in the cemetery of Mir Mubarak Khan, we find the graves of not only Mir Mubarak Khan but also his 3 sons, Tajo, Aludo, and Masudo. Interestingly, we see the inscription on all 3 graves. Apart from Mir Mubarak Khan, there are other graves as well. For instance, the grave of brother of Mir Mubarak Khan, Darya Khan, after whom we have Darya Khanani lineage of Talpurs. And then there is a grave of Yaro Fakir, who died in 1748 as per inscription on his grave, means 1161. So he was son of Mir Jivan Khan, the 4th son of Mir Kaka Khan. And the descendants of Yaro is called Yarani. So let's move to another slide. So now I'm discussing about Mir Manik. So we know that Mir Manik had 4 sons. Why names are important? So as anthropologists, we are very interested in the genealogy and the names to establish or connect missing links. Mir Alayar, Mir Chutto, Mir Sandar, and Mir Jeevan. And all are buried in the necropolis or the cemetery of Mir Alayar Khan Talpur at Drigbala in Dadus Juhit Taluka. It is also called Mir Alayar Jakuba. So then if we wanted to discuss about Mir Al-Hayar, Mir Al-Hayar had 3 sons, Mir Masood, Mir Jado, and Mir Rajo. If you look at this slide, you can see the inscription that is on the grave of Mir Masood, which is located at Chitori. And if you read this inscription, you will get to know that it is written that he died in 1166 Hijri, meaning in 1754. And he basically served Mir Murad Yar Khan Kalodo, the son of Mir Nur Muhammad. So this is a very interesting inscription, and we knows a lot of interesting information from this slab. So now let's come to the distribution of Talpur tombs in Sindh. I'm just giving you a general view of the Talpur tombs. So there are 4 royal cemeteries of Shahzadani. I missed some, but the 4 are main, including the 2 clusters of tombs at Hirabad in Hyderabad, and followed by Khudabad 2 near Khudabad Sani, as we call, near Hala, and Kupo Shadad near Shapur Shakar in Sangar, and then Sohrabani, the sub-lineage of Shahzadani, are all buried in Qadr Baksha Quba in Rodi Taluka in Sakhar. And the descendants of Mir Shaho Khan, also sometimes pronounced Shahu, but it is Shahu. So the descendants of Shahu are called Shahwani, the founders of Tando Muhammad Khan. And their two cemeteries are located, one at Fatehabad and another at Tando Muhammad Khan town. And the grave of Mir Shah actually is located in the Drigbala necropolis. So this basically map shows the different districts of Sindh. So that if you talk about the distribution of the monuments of the Mankani Talpurs, they are mainly located in 4 districts. Badin, the earliest monuments are located in Johi at Drigbala, and then we have some graveyards in Tando Muhammad Khan, Badin, and Mirpur Khas. So let me just show you the slides. So these are basically some of the very well-known necropolises of Mankani Talpurs. The earliest one is located at Drigbala, Mir Alayar Jacoba, followed by Chitori in Mirpur Khas, Imam Gah in Tando Muhammad Khan town, Tando Muhammad Khan Shahar mein aaye. This is the Mir Abdullah, I added Shah, it's a typo. Mir Abdullah Shah Talpur near Shadi Large, Sayyid Ahmad Shah near Shadi Large, and Ketum. It was basically first capital of the Tharo Khan, which is located on the right bank of the river Puran near Shadi Large, and Pir Nazar Muhammad Shah near Tando Muhammad Khan, where Bagani, a sub-lineage of Mankani, the dignitaries and the descendants of Baganis are buried in this graveyard. And the last is Pir or Mio Aman Shah, also called Amanullah Shah, near Bakar Zamani Muhammad Khan. So now let's discuss one by one all the 6 graveyards. So I just show you slides that basically talked about 8, but I will focus on the 6. So in the cemetery of Mir Alayar, we have the burial places of the most important dignitaries, which include Mir Alayar Khan Talpur, Mir Chutto, Mir Sandar, Mir Shah. Basically, the grave of Mir Shah is also located there. And apart from Talpurs, there are other tombs as well. Those who served the basically Talpurs, that include Allah Dito Suryo and Khair Muhammad Jamali. The list is very extensive and long actually. So idea was to basically to introduce about these lesser known monuments of Mankani Talpurs. Although we know about Chitori and Drigbala, but not about others. So these are another view of Drigbala graveyard. And now Chitori, one of the most impressive cemetery in terms of decoration on a stone carving. So most of the structures are stone, beautifully engraved. So the prominent tombs include Mir Masood, Mir Rajo, Mir Jado, Mir Alayar Sani II, Mir Fatah Khan, Mir Tharo, Mir Sher Muhammad, Sher Sindh, the Lion of Sindh, and many others. But interestingly, when you visit these graveyards, you learn a lot actually. The main idea of visiting all these sites is to know and find the inscriptions. Most of the tombs have inscriptions. For instance, if you look at this is a canopy, as we call in Sindhi, chhatri or chhatri. On one of the columns or the pillars of the chhatri is inscription, which bears the name of Mir Jado, the son of Mir Alayar, who died in 1173 Hijri, 1760. he had 4 sons: Mir Alaya, Mir Mirzo, Mir Peroz, Mir Hamza, and Mir Sahab Khan. So in this Chitori, the descendants of Mir Masu are basically buried. So now this is another interesting structure that belongs to Mir Raju, son of Mir Alaya, who died in 1795. Now we move. Another impressive structure that belongs to Mir Fateh Khan, who was killed by the Lodhas. The tomb was built in 1787. In Persian inscription, we know that there is a date of the construction of the structure and a date of the when he died. So another, apart from Drigbala, Chitori, now we come to the lesser known graveyard, which is locally called Sayyid Armio Amala Shahado Kabristan. In this graveyard are buried the descendants of Mir Jado, the son of Mir Alayar. So actually, all the information come from the interviews from the descendants of Mankani Talpers, and some information is available also in secondary sources, but most of the information come from the primary sources. So Mir Peroz was son of Mir Jado, and this cemetery, most of the stone carved graves belong to the descendants of Mir Jado. So this is the basically list of those who are buried in Mio Aman Shah graveyard, and this is some graves are beautiful marble graves. Most of the graves are inscribed, and this is all the names of those who are buried in the. And now another graveyard, Mir Abdullah Talper graveyard near Shabilard. It is located about 3 kilometers north of Shabilard, a small town in Badin district. In this Mir Abdullah Talper's cemetery, there were 3 canopies. Now all actually caved in, and a few inscribed graves. One of the most important graves belonged to Mir Valio, or as we say Mir Valia, as it is written on the grave. In Sindh you see Mir Valio. He was son of Mir Bago. And apart from this, Mir Abdullah